I'm riding solo tonight. Let me just make sure. Am I on? Am I on the? Okay, good. um, so tonight, so a little bit about our show, who I am, what we do, that sort of thing. Again, I'm Andy. I'm a military veteran. My co-host Evan, he has his history in private security, executive protection, that sort of thing. We both have been NRA certified instructors. We've gone through countless hours of training. We've trained countless amount of people. So we have a good amount of experience in the tactical realm, we'll call it. Our show, we've talked about everything from situational awareness to the history of the firearm. We talked about, done some political commentary. We bring you tactical tips and tricks, guns and gear review sometimes. And again, every now and again, we touch on some political commentary. We try to stay away from it. We try to just bring you facts and entertainment, but sometimes the political commentary can't be helped. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about tonight. So before we do, I want to give a shout out to FN. FN, we try to give a shout out every show because FN has been an incredible support to the deplorable general. Now, we don't get paid to do this show. This is a strictly volunteer basis, and we do it because we enjoy bringing this stuff to you. So FN has been so gracious as to provide us with some hats, T-shirts. I mean, this T-shirt is freaking cool. They provide us with all kinds of cool things, bumper stickers and decals and lanyards, all kinds of stuff. So anyway, love to give a shout out to FN. Great company, great customer service. And as far as the quality of their firearms, I put them up there with SIG and HK. Definitely on the higher end. So I'm going to give a shout out to them. Now, speaking of the hat and shirt, at least every other week I'm thinking it's going to be, we're not sure yet, we'll put it out there. But tonight, starting tonight, for everyone on Facebook that likes, comments, and shares, is going to be put into a drawing to win either a shirt like this if we have your size. If we don't have your size, you'll get a hat like this. We're going to send that out to you. So again, on Facebook, like, comment, and share. All three things. If you do all three of those, then you get entered into the drawing to win either a T-shirt if we have your size, or if we don't, we're going to give you a hat. With that drawing, we're also going to include a FN decal. If you want it, great. If not, give it away. But anyway, that's something that we're going to try to do a little bit more regularly, just to try to give back to our viewers. So, everybody knows what's going on in this current political climate. And I tell you what, folks, it is, it's crazy. And it's the same old dog and pony show. Every time we have a tragedy, just like I got to remember who said it. Somebody said that we can't let a tragedy go to waste. Can't let a crisis go to waste. What that means is we're gonna capitalize on this as an opportunity to fulfill and carry out our agenda. And it's despicable. It really is. It's crazy. But that's what they're doing. And they're shameless, and they're doing it. And now we even have our own president saying that he is going to push legislation for a stricter background check, focusing on mental illness. Again, I'm okay with that. Raising the age to own a firearm to 21 years old. I'm not okay with that. And then banning bump stocks, and I'm not okay with that either. So, look, love Donald Trump or hate Donald Trump, that's for you to decide. However, Donald Trump, one thing that nobody can really argue is the fact that he is a very emotional person. And that's what makes him great, and that's what makes him weak. And we see that in everybody. We have things that make us great that can also make us not so great. And in Donald Trump's case, I believe that his emotional response can make him great and has made him successful, but also can make him weak. And I think in a situation like this, Donald Trump sees what happened here in this school in Florida, and he hears people calling for action, and his heart says, you're right, we got to do something here. So that's what he's doing. Maybe there's some other things at play here that we just don't know about. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is he himself called for these things. And I tell you what, across the board, I'm hearing a lot of response for calling for what he's calling for, and saying that there's a lot of people in the NRA and conservatives that are supporting these things. So, the age, 21 to own a firearm. We can be 18 to join the military. We can be 18 to elect our officials. However, and again, in the military, what are you doing? They give you a gun, right? Okay? So they give you a gun when you're 18, you join the military. They can send you overseas to kill people and to die for your country, but you can't own a firearm until 21? I think it's BS. So that's... Again, and it's not only that, but it's further restricting our Second Amendment rights. That means that until you're 21 years old, you cannot exercise your Second Amendment right to own and carry a firearm. Not okay. The Second Amendment doesn't say the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed until you're 21, or after you're 21. It doesn't say that. It says won't be infringed, okay? So that means, like, from the second you're born, you have the God-given right to defend yourself with arms, with weapons. And over again, it's been discussed by the founding fathers that these arms are to include all manner of military arms to not only defend against criminals and animals, but also against governments. I mean, it was clearly laid out in the arguments both before the Constitution was drafted and afterwards. Our government has completely ignored the spirit of that amendment, and they've come up with their own definition. Okay, so we're not going to get too much into why the Second Amendment is still relevant today for the machine gun and the assault rifle, and heck, even the Tomahawk cruise missile. Okay, we're not going to get into that discussion tonight. We will maybe another time, but tonight we're going to take a look at some definitions. And this is really important in this debate, is defining what it is these people are talking about when they're talking about banning this or that, or when they're on the news spouting their propaganda, or they're just misinformation. We have to know, as a responsible community who is actually going to be responsible for bringing this debate to the front steps of our politicians and our media, we have to have a firm grasp on the actual definitions of what is what when it comes down to the firearms community. So we have this right here. Okay? Don't be scared, folks. This is your AR-15 rifle. Okay? This AR does not stand for assault rifle. It stands for Armalite rifle. And Armalite is the company that was, if you tuned into our history of the firearm, Armalite is the company that actually contracted the first AR-15 style, M16 style weapon. So that's why it's an AR, okay? So it's a semi-automatic, okay? That's a huge point to bring up here, because an actual assault weapon, if there is an actual definition of the term, or a military grade weapon, if you see this switch here, on the bottom of the switch it says safe. On the top of this switch it says fire, okay? That means that on this selector there are two options. Either you can't pull the trigger at all, or every time you pull the trigger, a bullet comes out, okay? So that makes this a semi-automatic rifle, not an automatic rifle, not a machine gun, okay? An automatic rifle, you would be able to select a different option on this rifle to shoot either a 3-round burst or fully automatic. This does not have that option. So this is a semi-automatic sporting rifle. And this, yes, it's a detachable magazine. This one happens to hold 30 rounds. This is a standard size magazine. It's not a high capacity magazine. It's a standard magazine, okay? There have been video after video of people proving that magazine capacity is practically irrelevant. It doesn't make any difference because if you practice enough, you can pull the trigger fast, you can drop a magazine with 10 rounds, and you can pick up another one and you can load it and you can keep shooting. I mean, this is something that competitive shooters and war fighters do all the time. Okay, so it doesn't matter how many rounds this thing holds. That's not going to stop anything. It's not going to fix anything. It's not going to change anything. Okay, so that is the infamous AR-15 rifle. There's a lot of misinformation out there about this. I read a news article that said this is the most deadliest rifle in the world. Well, no, that's wrong. I mean, the AK-47 has certainly killed far more people than the AR-15 has, across the world. 30-round the AK-47 has a 30-round magazine as well. It's just as easy to operate. As a matter of fact, there's 12-year-olds in Africa that are killing people with it right now. Okay, but hey, the AK-47 is not under attack. It's this. So anyway, I'll keep talking here as this stuff gets pulled up, but it's despicable. It really is. People don't know what they're talking about. They have no clue what they're talking about. They regurgitate this garbage that is spit and spewed by the mainstream media, and it's pathetic. It's pathetic. Now look, here's the other side of that, guys. I get it. I do. I get it. I get the fact that emotions run high after an event like this. I really do. And it's our first inclination, as an emotional response, to blame what's most obvious, what's easiest to attack. And in this case, most of the time it's firearms. And look, there are two types of people in this country. There are people who know about firearms and they're comfortable with firearms, and there are people who know nothing about firearms. Absolutely nothing. And that's who we're hearing from in these situations, people who know nothing. And because they know nothing, they're inherently afraid. That's why in the last episode I talked about how one of the possible solutions for this mass shooting environment is to introduce firearm education and safety and operation in our public school system, maybe at the middle school level, where basically everybody in the country is introduced to firearms. So now you don't have two groups of people who know nothing and people who know something. You don't have that. Everybody knows something. When you begin to know something, then you're not as scared anymore. And when you're not as scared anymore, maybe more people would take personal responsibility and actually defend themselves in situations like this. So, that's just that's my idea on this. I think we can't hate people for not knowing about things and therefore only being able to respond emotionally, right? Because if you don't have facts, then you can only respond with what we have, and usually that's just emotion. So these people don't have the facts. All they have is their emotion, and that's what they're responding with. And again, I don't hate them for it. I don't agree with them. I don't think policy should be based off of their lack of information, but I don't hate them for it. The term rifle means a weapon designed or redesigned, made or remade, and intended to be fired from the shoulder, and designed or redesigned and made or remade to use the energy from the explosive in a fixed metallic cartridge to fire only a single projectile through a rifled bore for each single pull of the trigger. Okay, so a rifle, the AR-15 is a rifle. This is a bolt-action 22. All right, that is also a rifle. Okay, so according to the ATF, the AR-15 and the bolt-action 22 are both rifles. A rifle is a firearm when the barrel is less than 16 inches in length, and let's see. The term firearm means a weapon made from a rifle if such weapon, as modified, has an overall length of less than 26 inches, or a barrel or barrels of less than 16 inches in length. So again, if you have a barrel less than 16 inches, that's also considered a short barrel rifle, and in which case you'd have to get a tag stamp and fill out a form for that to be legal. Machine gun. Okay, here we go. This is the important part. I'm running out of time here, so I'm just going to go over this real quick. So, any weapon which shoots is designed to shoot or can be readily restored to shoot automatically more than one shot without manual reloading by a single function of the trigger. The frame or receiver of any such weapon, any part designed and intended solely and exclusively for combination of parts designed and intended for use in converting a weapon into a machine gun, or any combination of parts from which a machine gun can be assembled, if such parts are in the possession or under the control of a person. Okay, so we're probably gonna cut off from being live here. I'm gonna go for a couple more minutes as long as Robert's okay with it here, just to kind of to tie this together. Okay, so what are we talking about here? So we're talking about clearly defined definitions of what certain things are. And as always, just like we have in the gender debate, where we have people who are clearly confused about what's a man and what's a woman, we have the same media misconstruing this and saying that this is somehow different or more dangerous than this. But according to our own government, okay, the ATF, these are defined as the same class of weapon. And to be honest with you, in the right hands, both are equally as deadly. Even a 22. Even a 22 can be as deadly as something like the 223 or 5.56. Okay? So it's really important that no one understand definitions before you engage in this debate. Now, this was a crash course, and again, I was expecting to have Evan here with me tonight, so I wasn't necessarily prepared for me to jump into it solo. So I do apologize for some of the hold up, but hopefully I gave you a decent introduction to some of these definitions. Now, what do I suggest? I suggest that you get out there and you Google ATF definitions. Quite simple. First link that you come to will have this this guidebook that I failed to bring up on my computer here that will explain their definitions for all of these weapons. Okay. Also, take a look on YouTube when it comes to bump firing. How you don't have to have it at your hip. You can bump fire without a bump fire stock from your shoulder. This banning of bump fire stocks, it's not banning of bump fire stocks. It is banning of any device that is designed to increase the rate of fire of a weapon. And almost every single part in a semi-automatic rifle is designed to increase the rate of fire in a semi-automatic weapon. Okay, so banning bump stocks is a slippery slope, folks. It's also opening up to banning all semi-automatic weapons. And, maybe it wouldn't happen under Donald Trump, but the next Democrat that gets into office and the next Supreme Court that gets dominated by the Democrats, I guarantee you if this bump stock ban passes and that's the verbiage that's in there, that any rate increasing device is going to be banned, they're coming after your guns, guys. Everybody says, oh, they're not coming after, but look, there is no explanation other than they're coming after your guns when you see verbiage like this proposed being put into law. So again, Google ATF definitions and verse yourself in them. Know the difference between a rifle, a machine gun, a pistol, a shotgun. Do some research into the different types of handguns, because even though it's not necessarily in this debate, you should know the difference between a revolver, a striker-fired semi-automatic, and a hammer-fired, and the difference between a double and a single action. So you should know those things, because if you don't know those things, it's going to be very hard for you to engage in an educated discussion with these people. Never argue with people, okay? It's good to debate. It's good to discuss. Never argue, okay? And all these people want to do is argue. So, guys, get educated. Try to wrap your head around these concepts and these definitions. Again, sorry for the mix-up. Sorry for me being on here solo, but I hope I did bring some knowledge to the table tonight. So again, shout out to FN. Next week, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into this stuff. We'll probably do a little bit more political commentary because it's hot right now. But for tonight, that's it. So I'm Andy, Deplorable General, over and out.